Good morning, students. Today we'll learn about pharmacokinetics. I am Dr. Sindhu, first year postgraduate from Department of Pharmacology. Uh, so far, you might have learned in general what is pharmacology and routes of different drug administrations. And after that, let's go with pharmacokinetics. In pharmacokinetics, what we learn is how a drug is absorbed, how a drug is distributed, how it is metabolized, and how it is excreted. So, before going into that, let's know what actually is pharmacokinetics. The term pharmacokinetics, it is derived from the root of the root from the root of words pharmaco, which means medicine, and kinetics, which means movement or motion. Pharmacokinetics is the study of drug movement through the body, throughout the body. A drug taken by mouth must cross the plasma membranes of mucosal cells of gastrointestinal tract and also the capillary endothelial cells to enter the bloodstream. To leave the bloodstream, the drug must cross capillary cells, travel to the interstitial fluid, and depending on the mechanism of action, the drug may also need to enter target cells and cellular organelles such as nucleus, which are surrounded by the additional membranes. Okay, so in general, what is pharmacology? Pharmacology is nothing but the movement of drug in our body. So pharmacokinetics, that is what a body is doing for a drug. Next, after that, you will be dealing with pharmacodynamics, that is what drug does to a body. Okay, so this is pharmacokinetics. While moving towards the target cells and passing through the various membranes, drugs are subjected to numerous physiological processes. For medications given by the enteral route, stomach acid, and digestive enzymes, they often act as the breakdown of the drug molecules. Okay, the liver enzymes and other organs, they change chemically, and the drug molecule, it becomes less active as it passes through. If the drug is seen as a foreign body by our body, the phagocytes may attempt to remove the drug and the immune response will be triggered. Means there may be any autoimmune reactions or any reactions which your immunity system will be fighting. Next, the kidney, large intestine, and other organs, they attempt to excrete the medication from the body. Moving on, as I told you, the pharmacokinetics, it has been categorized into the 4 different groups, that is absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. So here, this is absorption. These are the areas where absorption takes place: stomach, small intestine. The drug, when you're giving through the oral, it enters into the stomach, passes through the small intestine, and then it is getting absorbed and it is getting distributed into the bloodstream. Once the drug is entered into the bloodstream, it goes to the liver and the liver starts metabolizing the drug. Once the metabolism of drug is completely done by the liver, it is excreted outside, and it can either enter into the kidney and excreted through urine, or either it is it enters into the large intestine and excreted through the feces. These are the 4 processes of the pharmacokinetics. So how a drug pass in the body? We have 2 different passages that through plasma membrane. One is active transport, one is diffusion or passive transport. So the pharmacokinetic variables, they depend on the ability of the drug to cross plasma membranes. With few exceptions, drug may either penetrate the membrane through the effect, or it may either pass directly. Like in active transport, what happens is the movement of the drug is with the co-transporter. Means you'll have one receptor where the drug passes into the plasma membrane through that, and another one is passive diffusion. Passive diffusion means movement of drug from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. Okay, I think we all might have known in our intermediate and even in 10th classes, when we are taking in a glass of water, you take a high concentration of sugar or salt solution and you put a grape inside it. What happens after some time? As the grape has less concentration of sweetness, all the sweetness present in the sugar water is entering into the grape and the grape swells. So it is moving from the higher concentration to the lower concentration. That is passive diffusion. Active diffusion is you want to move from one place to another place. Okay, how do you go? You take either help of your vehicle or through any other transportation means. So that is called as active transport. It acts as a co-transport. So the plasma membrane the plasma membrane is a bilipid layer with proteins and other molecule interspersed in the membrane. So this lipophilic membrane, it does not allow all the molecules to get inside the cell. It allows only few molecules. So that is impermeable to large molecules. It allows only small molecules, water soluble molecules, non-ionized and lipid soluble molecules are only entered through the lipid bilayer through passive. And what are the other like the other molecules which enter in active with the help of active transport is large molecules, ions and polar molecules. So next, coming to the absorption. Absorption is a process involving the movement of substance from its site of administration across body membranes to circulating fluids. What happens once you're taking the drug through oral mouth? It gets absorbed into the stomach. So the drugs, they may be absorbed across the skin. If you're applying an ointment, it is absorbed through skin. If you're inhaling a gas, like for asthma patients, you might have seen they will be inhaling. So that there, in such situations, the drug is absorbed through the respiratory tract. And if you're taking through your mouth, the drug is absorbed in the gastrointestinal tract. Okay. So that is one of the modes of absorption of the drug. So absorption is a very basic and primary pharmacokinetic factor, which is determining the length of the time it takes for a drug to produce its effects. Okay. The rate of dissolution determines how quickly the drug disintegrates and disperses into simpler forms. Therefore, the drug formulation is an important factor of bioavailability. The speed of the digestive motility, surface area, pH, lipid solubility, exposure of enzymes in the digestive tract, blood flow in the site of the administration, these all factors affect the absorption. Okay, there are other factors also which affect the absorption. They are drug formulation and dose, size of the drug molecule, surface area of absorptive site, digestive motility or blood flow, lipid solubility, degree of ionization, acidity or alkalinity, interactions with food or other medications. These are all the factors which affect the absorption of the drug. And what are the other routes of administration of the drug you have seen? Many, like intravenous, intramuscular, subcutaneous and all. So when you're giving a drug intravenously, it enters the bloodstream directly, and absorption of the tissues after infusion is very rapid. In intramuscular medications, it takes longer time to absorb, and the absorption is little bit prolonged when compared to the intravenous injection. And we must be aware that drug interactions and advice to patients to avoid known combination of foods and medications that significantly affect drug action. Okay, so we have to make sure about the food which is involving or which is intervening with the absorption of drug. Coming to distribution, distribution involves the transport of drugs throughout the body. The simplest factor determining distribution is the amount of blood flow to the body tissues. The physical properties of the drug greatly influence how it moves throughout the body after administration. The lipid solubility is an important characteristic because it determines how quickly a drug is absorbed, mixes with the bloodstream, crosses the plasma membranes, and becomes localized in the body tissues. If we are taking a lipid soluble agent, they are not limited by the barriers that are normally act for the water soluble drugs. So these lipid solubles can be easily passing. Thus, they are more completely distributed to the body tissues when compared to the water soluble drugs. And not all drugs in the plasma membrane will reach their target cell, because few drugs are binding to the plasma proteins and they form the drug protein complexes. So these drug protein complexes are too large to cross plasma membranes, capillary membranes. What happens if the drug is not available for the distribution? Then it takes with the help of the receptor and then it crosses. So the drugs which are bound to proteins, they circulate in plasma until they are released or displaced from the drug protein complex. So once they are displaced, the unbound free drug, it will reach the target cells and later on it is excreted by the kidneys. And drugs and other chemicals, they compete with one another for plasma protein binding sites. Some agents have the great affinity for these binding sites than other agents. Here also, even in distribution, we have to make sure to see the drug-drug and drug-food interactions, which may alter the distribution factor of a drug. So here, what we have, these are the free drug molecules, and this is a drug protein complex. What happens here, if it is a free drug, it enters into the plasma capillaries freely, whereas this is bound protein complex. It does not pass to the tissues very freely, and it goes on, and once they get unbound, they are absorbed, and later on they are distributed and excreted through kidneys. Coming to metabolism, metabolism is called a biotransformation in the process of chemical which is converting a drug to form that is usually more easily removed from the body. Metabolism involves complex biochemical pathways and reactions that alter drugs, nutrients, and vitamins and minerals. The liver is the primary site of the drug metabolism, although the kidney and cells of the intestinal tract also have the high metabolic rates. Here, what are the main metabolic organ I'm telling is the liver. So once that is liver is the primary site for drug metabolism, and also we have some metabolism other organs are kidney and intestinal tract, but they are very much less when compared to the liver. The medications undergoes too many type of biochemical reactions as they pass through the liver, including hydrolysis, oxidation, and reduction. During metabolism, the addition of side chains known as conjugates makes drugs more water soluble and more easily excreted by the kidneys. Here in metabolism, liver is accomplished by the hepatic microsomal enzyme system. This enzyme complex is called as P450, which is named after cytochrome P450. You call it as CYP450, CYP450. And there are some agents which are known as prodrugs that does not have any pharmacological activity unless they are first metabolized to form the active form of the drug. And there are a few drugs which have the ability to increase the metabolic activity in the liver. That process, they are called as the enzyme inducers, and the process is called as enzyme induction. Like for an example, let's take phenobarbital. It causes liver to synthesize more microsomal enzymes. By doing so, phenobarbital increases the rate of its own metabolism, as well as the other drugs also metabolized in the liver. In these patients, higher doses of medications may be required to achieve the optimum therapeutic effect. Certain patients have decreased hepatic metabolic activity, which may alter the drug action. And there are hepatic enzyme activity in general. It is generally reduced in infants and elderly patients. Therefore, the children and old age people are more sensitive to drug therapy than the middle-aged group patients. And patients with severe liver damage, such as if they have any liver damage or cirrhosis, they require less dosage because the metabolic activity of the liver is decreased and the drug metabolism is decreased by them. If the drug metabolism is decreased, what happens? The drug is getting accumulated and it will cause the toxic effects. So certain genetic disorders have been recognized in patients lack specific metabolic enzymes. Drug dosages in these patients must be adjusted accordingly. If they have any liver diseases or any liver metabolic problems, then the dose, we have to make sure that the dose is adjusted according to their convenience. Next, what we have is first pass metabolism. What is first pass metabolism? It is nothing but a drug. When you're giving a drug, it enters into the gastrointestinal cavity, then it passes through the hepatic portal circulation, and then the hepatic microsomal enzymes are metabolized to drug to form the inactive forms. Once these inactive forms are released leave the liver, they enter into the general circulation. That is first pass metabolism. And here the first pass effect is an important mechanism, since the large number of oral drugs are rendered inactive by hepatic metabolic reactions. Alternative routes of the delivery that bypass the first pass effects are sublingual, rectal, or parenteral routes. They may need the general consideration of these drugs. So this is the first pass metabolism what I was talking about. So this is the stomach. See these are the drug molecules. So the drug is entering into the stomach, okay, and then it is absorbed, released into the portal vein. So once the drug is released, sorry, once the drug is released into the portal vein, it enters the hepatic portal circulation uh, and goes directly into the liver. From here they are going into the liver. What happens in the liver? In livers, the hepatic microsomal enzymes, they metabolize the drug to inactive forms. Here the drug is metabolized into this inactive forms. And what happens? These drug conjugates inactive are leaving into they enter into the bloodstream. These inactive drugs or drug conjugates are entering into the bloodstream. After that they go into the systemic circulation or general circulation. Okay, that is regarding the first pass metabolism. And the next, coming to the excretion. In excretion, what will we have? The drugs which are removed from the body, they undergo excretion. Excretion can be either with urine or through feces. Okay, the rate at which medications are excreted determines the concentration of drugs in the bloodstream and tissues. This is important because the concentration of drugs in the bloodstream determines the duration of action. Pathological states such as liver disease or kidney diseases, renal failure, they often increase the duration of drug action in the body because they interfere with natural excretion mechanisms. So we should the dosing should be calculated and given accordingly in such patients. Same like how we are giving in metabolism, drug metabolism, we have any liver injuries or liver diseases, we just give proper dose for them. In the same way, even in excretion also, we have to see whether they have any kidney failure or any other renal disorders or any other liver diseases. Okay, so there are few factors which affect the drug excretion. Sorry, few factors which affect the drug excretion. These include liver or kidney impairment, blood flow, degree of ionization, lipid solubility, drug protein complexes, metabolic activity, acidity or alkalinity, respiratory, glandular or biliary activity. Drug protein complexes and other two large substances are also altered because what happens is they can't be filtered through the glomerulus and they are secreted in the distal tubule of the nephron. Like for an example, when we are giving penicillin G, 10% of the penicillin G dose is filtered at glomerulus, whereas other 90% is secreted into the renal tubule. As with metabolic enzyme activity, secretion mechanisms are less active in infants and older adults. The impairment of kidney function can affect the pharmacokinetics. Okay, the patients with renal failure have diminished ability to excrete medications and they may retain drugs for an extended time. So dosage of the drug of these patients must be reduced in order to avoid the drug toxicity. Small to moderate changes in renal status can cause rapid increase in serum drug levels. The nurse must constantly monitor kidney functions in patients receiving drugs that may cause the nephrotoxicity. Next, we have drugs that can easily be changed into gaseous form or they are specially suited for excretion by respiratory system. The rate of respiratory excretion is dependent on factors that affect gas exchange, including diffusion, gas solubility, and pulmonary blood flow. Some drugs are secreted in the bile through a process called biliary excretion. In many cases, drugs secreted into the bile will enter the duodenum and eventually leave the body in feces. However, the bile is circulated back to the liver by enterohepatic recirculation. The percentage of the drug may be recirculated numerous times with bile. Biliary reabsorption is extremely influential in prolonging the activity of cardioglycosides and some other antibiotics. So the recirculation and elimination of the drugs through biliary excretion, they may continue for several weeks after therapy has been discontinued. This is enterohepatic recirculation. So what is happening here? The drug which is entered the bile, it is transported from liver. The bile transported from liver to the small intestine. Okay, by the way of gallbladder. Once absorption is occurring and it is released into the bloodstream. Once the drug is again released into the bloodstream, these bile salts are absorbed and circulated back to the liver. By the way, like how the digestive tract's capillaries are absorbed and released, in the same way it happens. So that is called as the enterohepatic circulation. So with this we have known what is absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. These are the basics of pharmacokinetics. I hope you all understood. Thank you.